Hi everybody. So we're going to take the next step in coding, and I'm going to share my screen and recall that when you write code you need a game object because code is a component and we need to be able to add a component to a game object. So I'm going to use my Shrek head and I am going to add a new component to this, and it's right at the bottom. It's called a script, and I'm going to call this second, and I'm going to click create and add, and so that makes it so my asset or my file, a C# file called second, is associated with my Shrek head. And then what I'm going to do is double click on this, and it's going to open up my editor. If I click it once, I can see what it looks like here, and that's just for like quick checking. And if I double click on it, which I think I just did, then it opens up the editor, which for me is Visual Studio, and you might have that, or you might have Mono Develop, and your group leader will help you navigate through those two things. So to start off, I just want to review. So I'm going to recall that the start command only happens once, and it's for initialization, as the comment says there. Comments are the same. This is virtually Java, even though it's C#. It's for all intents and purposes, it's going to be just like Java. So you're going to have to draw upon that knowledge. And if I want to write something out to the console, I'm going to say print, and I'm going to say I love donuts. And there's semicolons are going to matter again. Okay, so we had a little break from that with Python, but now we're back to needing semicolons. And I'm building this, which I think is F5 also, and it says something like succeeded, so I'm going to assume I succeeded. And now I'm going to go back to my Unity, and I'm going to select the game object that has over here you can see my component called second, and I'm going to click on console, which is going to show me, this is like a command window. It shows you the output from the prints, and there were some ugly errors there. They're just warnings, nothing to worry about. Hit the clear button, and I still see some of those things, but hopefully at the bottom I see I love donuts. So yay, that's the basic print command, happens one time. And then today we're going to push this a little bit and extend. Actually, in your lab for the first code, you needed to understand what a global variable was, which you did in Java. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to say, I'm going to make an integer, and I'm going to call it Sally, and I'm going to initialize Sally to be 0, and again, this is a very customary thing to use start for, and I'm going to use update to print out the value of Sally. I'm just making this up. So I'm going to say print Sally, and so whatever the value of Sally is, we should see it. And update, recall, happens over and over, once per frame. Okay, so we're making a movie, and so Unity is actually generating frames just like a movie does, and so each frame it's going to print Sally out to the command window. So I'm going to compile this, and remember that's F5, and it looks like it's doing things over here. Yay. And I'm not sure what that is, but we will. Okay, so I think we're good. I don't see any errors. And so what I'm going to do is go over to Unity again. And I am going to, this is like running, that's compile, this is run in our own definition of terms from Java. And you'll see that at the beginning I see the I love donuts one time, and then I see zillions of zeros because it just keeps printing Sally out, and you can see the counter number here is how many times it's done it. And it stops counting apparently at 1,000. But it's just printing zeros out. So what I'm going to do now is go back to my Visual Studio file, and I am going to show you how you can connect your global variable defined here on line 6 as Sally to your Unity program. So if you write the word public, whoops, hold on, we want to get rid of, we want to stop this, please. How do we, I want to add, I want to type. I can't type. Second, yeah. Where's debug? I think my debug is running, and I want to stop it. So stop debugging. Good. All right. So if you get to that, if you have trouble editing, just I think there's a debug, at least in Visual Studio, and stop the debug. And so what I'm going to do is in front of int Sally in the global variable place, I'm going to write the word public, which means that Sally is going to be accessible outside of this file. And you might have seen this in Java, but now it's going to be, you're going to have a more visual sense of what this does. So I'm going to go back to Unity here, and I'm going to hit the clear button, and I'm going to look over at second, and you'll see now I actually see Sally. And we initialize Sally in first to be 0. And you can see here inside this box, Sally is 0. So I'm going to hit play. And the reason we see Sally here is because we wrote public in front of Sally when we declared it. And here you see Sally spit out on the screen, and the value of Sally is 0. Now the exciting part of this is I can go over here while the program is running, and I can change Sally to be a value like 589. And then what's being printed out on the screen changes to that. Or I can make it 007. Or I can make it 21. Or I can make it 100. Whatever I want. So now what I've done is I've connected our code to the Unity program where you can actually initialize variables to whatever value you want. Okay, so I'm going to make, that's the lesson for today. Global variables, and you can access them. Think of that writing public here as the access, and you're making it public, which means you can access it in your Unity program, which is a different file. It's in a different place. And so I'm going to give you a lab, and I'll make a little video, so you have to watch the output, and that'll be how you will test or practice this new feature. All right, have fun.